Hello everybody, today we are going to talk about operators. Firstly, let's start this topic from what are operators? As the name suggests, operator is something that can operate, so it means that it can perform, work on something. In programming world, operators are used to work on, for example, variables, expressions. In this lesson, we'll learn about arithmetic and assignment operators. So let's create two variables, int a equals 10 and int b equals 5. And now let's send to the console output a plus b, and let's send a line at the end, and this is called addition operation. And now let's compile it, and as we can see, our result is 15, so operator operated, worked on two variables, and we have got now one result, right? Which we can send to the output or assign to another variable. Okay. We have got other operators like the minus operator, which is subtraction operation. We have something like multiplication operator, and it is multiplication. Now let's talk about the division operator, and let's compile it. As you can see, our results are right. They are all good. But as you can see, when we divide 10 by 5, we have the result 2, which is right. But now let's change b to 4. And you are probably expecting that the result will be 2.5, right? 10 divided by 4. Let's see. As you can see, our result is 2, not 2.5. Why it's not 2.5? Because when we divide two integer numbers, you see that variables are integers, right? Our result will always be integer, always. The part after the point, which is in our situation 5, is being removed. Math rounding is not working here. So if you had, for example, 2.6, the result would not be equal 3, but it would be again 2. Okay. But what if we want to have a real number in the result? One of our variable must be then double or float. It doesn't matter which one. So let's do it. For example, that guy. Let's see. As you can see, we have now 2.5. It's okay. Now let's, for example, that guy, make it double. And as you can see, it's working. Of course, both can be double and they do work. For example. Okay. Let's back to the integer. And now let's talk about modulo operation, which is later really very useful, but it might be a bit confusing at start. When we use modulo operation, which is percent sign in the C++ language, on two numbers, for example 10 modulo 4, the result is 2. Now why? 2 in our situation is called remainder, and the remainder is amount left over after the division of two integers, okay? So when we look at this operation, we should think like that. How many times can 4 be located, stored in 10? The answer is 2, right? Because 2 multiplied by 4 means 8. And now, what amount is left over after the division of two integers? It is 10 minus 8, which is 2, right? Okay, now let's check the next example. For example, 1 modulo 5 is 1. Why? How many times can 5 be stored located in 1? The answer is 0, because 5 is greater than 1. Okay, so 0 multiplied by 5 equals what? 0. And now what amount is left over after the division of two integers? It is 1 minus 0, which is just 1, right? And it works. Okay. You should train it a bit. You can train it by just sending it to the console output, for example, 10 modulo 4, right? Let's compile it. As you can see, we have 2 there. A modulo B. Okay. It works fine. Train a bit because it's kinda important to understand it later. It's one of the operators that is really used a lot. Okay, fine. Now let's talk about incrementation, decrementation, and assignment operations. Incrementation and decrementation. Okay, incrementation means increasing current value by 1. Increase by 1, right? And decrementation means decreasing current value by 1. So it decrease by 1. Operations like that are so frequent that they have special operators that let us write them faster. And normally, if we want to increase current value by 1, so to increment something, we have to write something like, for example, int c equals 1. And now, when we do something like c equals c plus 1, and then we will send it to the console output. As you can see, we have now there 2 at the end, right? We can get all the things to the comment, so it won't confuse us anymore. As you can see, 2 is here. And how it works. That thing here means something like that. Take the value that is stored in variable c, which is 1, add to it 1, and then after summing that, right, assign the result to the variable named c. So c will be 2 now. Okay. Of course, that 1 can be anything here, like 10, and it works. But we are right now talking about incrementation, decrementation, okay? So we'll just increase and decrease values by 1. We can do that thing here a bit faster using assignment operator like that. C plus equals 1, which is the same, it is the same as c equals c plus 1. It's the same, okay? And of course that number here can be changed to another number or maybe variable. And there are many more operators like that. For example, division equals, minus equals, modulo equals, multiplication equals. Well, almost all operators have that shorter notation notation, okay? And let's compile it. Let's see if it's working. As you can see, everything works fine. And now, finally, let's talk about incrementation using increment operator. Okay, let's comment that thing here. And now, int d equals 1. And now let's do something like that. Cout d plus plus and line. And that plus plus here is increment operator. Okay. And let's compile it. As you can see, well, still our d is 1, but is that true? Let's send d to the console output again. Let's do it here. Let's build and run, and now we can see that d is 2. It's not 1. But why? It's because we have just used something what is called, post incrementation. And post means here that plus signs are after the name of variable, and it also means that it will begin the expression, that thing here, from sending value to the output. So it will send to the output, and then it will increase the value by 1 because of the 2 plus signs. Okay. So now let's talk about pre-incrementation. So pre-incrementation. The pre-incrementation is looking like that. Now, as you can see, we have 2, 2 in both places. As you have probably noticed, plus signs here are now before the name of variable, which means that now variable will be first incremented by 1, and then value will be sent to the output. And how to remember what happens first? Just look at the notation of incrementation. If the plus signs are prefix for variable, right? Then incrementation is first. If the plus signs are postfix for variable, then incrementation is going to happen after sending value to the output. Okay, now let's talk about pre-decrementation and post-decrementation, right? So post-decrementation and pre-decrementation. Pre. And they work the same way like incrementation, but this time we are decreasing value by 1. So if I do something like that, and now I compile it, what will happen first? That guy here will be decremented by 1 first, and then the value will be sent to the output. Let's see. So it will be 0, right? Okay, we can see 0, 0. But if they do something like that, it will send to the output first 1, then it will decrease that value by 1, and then it will just send that 1. I'm sorry. It will send just that 1, and here the value will be 0, right? Okay, as you can see, everything is working fine, and that's all in the lesson. Thank you very much.